Okay, so quick informal preliminary analysis of the new travel restrictions, U.S. travel restrictions. The memo is entitled, or the proclamation is entitled, "Restricting the Entry of Foreign Nationals to Protect the United States from Foreign Terrorists and Other National Security and Public Safety Threats." So I am going to share my screen here and go through this law, or this proclamation as I see it now. Okay, so skipping this, just some background, some policy and purpose, national security, public safety threats, enhance the ability to detect foreign nationals who may commit, aid, or support acts of terrorism or otherwise be threatening to the U.S. Also, it has things about information sharing, identity management protocols from foreign governments, so they're not cooperating in a way that the United States expects or wants, or whatever it may be, so that some of these restrictions are based on that kind of lack of cooperation. Um, so let's see here. This talks about the background on what the study they did, the evaluation, country-specific risk factors, and at the end, we'll get to the exceptions. So this is not a complete ban of every single person from these countries coming in. There are many exceptions that we'll go through, and potential new exceptions that may come out later on. Yeah, so it's applying to both immigrants and non-immigrants. Immigrants being green card holders, non-immigrants being people with temporary visas, tourists, students, etc. Okay, so the affected countries to fully restrict and limit the entry of nationals of the following 12 countries: Afghanistan, Burma, Chad, Republic of the Congo, Equatorial Guinea, Eritrea, Haiti, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and Yemen. They distinguish between, but apply to both immigrants and non-immigrants. And then partial restrictions for Burundi, Cuba, Laos, Sierra Leone, Togo, Turkmenistan, and Venezuela. Okay, so here's the countries with full restrictions. Talks about the uh, lack of vetting, the overstays of tourist visas, F1, vocational and J exchange visitor visas. So 29.3% overstay of some of these categories. So as of now, there's a full restriction on nationals of Afghanistan for both green cards and non-immigrant visas. And again, there are exceptions we'll get to, but there's full restriction on Afghanistan, Burma, same, some stats, full restriction, Chad, some statistics, 37% overstay rate, almost half overstay rate of B1, B2 visas. So full restrictions on nationals of Chad, Republic of Congo, some statistics, again, full restriction. Equatorial Guinea, quite a high overstay rate for FM and J visas, full restriction. Eritrea, same thing, stats, full restriction. Haiti, statistics, a little bit more information here. I think it's just some background information. And then again, another full restriction on Haiti, Iran, mainly security risks. They don't cite any sort of overstay rates, but they're just citing national security reasons. But again, full restriction on Iran, Libya, same thing. National security risks, full restriction. Somalia, some vetting problems, looks like some government vetting issues. And then another full restriction, Somalia, Sudan, overstay rates, lacks competent cooperative central authority for issuing passports, civil documents, which is, if you're applying for a green card or visa, that's all those things are important. Full restriction on Sudan, another full restriction on Yemen. And now, okay, so partial restriction countries Burundi, overstay rates. So now they're restricting immigrants, which is green cards. So presumably all green cards are restricted, which again, we'll get to some exceptions for family and things like that. And then on top of that, um, tourist visas, student visas, and vocational visas, and J visas, which are exchange visitors, those are going to be restricted also, or are fully suspended. So there's um, though the embassies will not be issuing those as of this goes into effect June 9th. So June 9th, all this will happen. Embassy won't be restricting those or issuing those, sorry, by June 9th, come June 9th. Cuba, same thing. Green cards suspended, but and tourist visas and student visas, vocational M visas and J visas. So this means that things like an L1, there are other categories that um, aren't restricted. E2, Cuba is not an E2 country. I don't remember all of them off the top of my head, but there are going to be some non-immigrant visas that you can still get even if you're from one of these countries. Um, an L1 is a clear example. Laos, same thing. It's green cards, and then BFMJ is, and then they're also reducing the validity of other non-immigrant visas. So if, for example, you're getting an L1, or if one of these in this list happens to be an E2 country or an E1, they will give you basically the minimum amount of time that you're able to get on the actual visa itself. Your entry, once you enter, you'll still get the same period of time you can expect on a normal I-94, but the visa itself that allows you to travel that's going to be restricted. Same thing, green card restrictions for Sierra Leone, tourist visa, student visa, M and J visas, and then restricting the validity. Togo, same thing, same restrictions. Turkmenistan, that's the same thing. Venezuela, same thing. Okay, here's what's important. Scope. So this applies only to people from these countries, foreign nationals from these countries who are outside the US on the effective date, which is June 9th, and do not have a valid visa on as of the effective date, right? So if you already have a tourist visa and it's valid for 10 years and you're from one of these countries, in theory, what this is saying is it shouldn't affect you. You should still be fine on that tourist visa. Same with an F1, J, M, if you have those, or you are you know, have a valid immigrant visa. If you're already been issued the green card and you happen to have not traveled yet to solidify that, to make your entry, that also won't be going away. Exceptions. Here are some important exceptions. It doesn't apply to lawful permanent residents. So if you are a green card holder and you're from any one of these countries, this doesn't affect you at all. Or if you have a dual citizenship. If you're a dual citizen of one of these countries and another one that's not on this list, you can still use that passport of the other country, right? Don't use the passport that's on this list, but if you can get a visa or a green card with your other passport, that's fine also. That's still a possibility. Doesn't affect people in A, C, G, NATO. These are all diplomatic stuff. Won't affect someone traveling for the World Cup, Olympics, or other major sporting events, as part of a team or as an athlete. Doesn't affect immediate family immigrant visas. So if you're applying for a spouse, or if you're a spouse of a U.S. citizen, or a parent, a child, like those types of IR1, CR1, IR5, like these aren't being affected. So the immediate relative cases are still going to be fine. Adoptions still going forward. SIVs, Afghan SIVs still going forward. Special immigrant visa for United States government employees still moving forward. Don't know what that is really. I haven't ever dealt with one. Pretty rare, but those aren't affected. Immigrant visas, so green cards for ethnic and religious minorities facing persecution in Iran. And this paragraph says that the second or attorney general can make exceptions for people participating in, trials or proceedings as witnesses, things like that. Um, so the Secretary of State and the Attorney General can make those exceptions. And also, this is important, exceptions to the suspension, exceptions to these limitations or these travel restrictions can be made on a case-by-case basis for individuals for whom the Secretary of State finds in his discretion that the travel by the individual would serve a United States national interest. So this makes me think that there may be some waiver process that's introduced later on, or the Secretary of State could say, hey, we want, if someone has an EB2 NIW, for example, or they are traveling on an EB1A, if they've gotten their EB1A approved or their I-140 approved, this wouldn't affect them. That doesn't say that now, but I could see that happening. They might make an exception for some of those types of categories. Maybe not, but it's possible. And I hope to see some kind of waiver process for, individuals in those particular categories. But if and when that happens, I will do an update. But right now, this is just today. This is come out today, so there's no real information on like what that means exactly, or what the Secretary of State will decide to do with the authority that the president has just granted him in that paragraph. This gives him the ability to um, make some exceptions for people. So we'll see what that turns into. Let's see. Yeah, this paragraph is just talking about within 90 days, and then every 180 days, they should check up on how this program is, how these restrictions are working, how they're affecting people, if they need more, if they need less, if they could keep them the same, just to see how it's working. And they're working with the other countries identified in these restrictions to comply with United States screening, vetting, immigration, and security requirements. Yeah, update, president, enforcement. It's not really relevant to us. Yeah, it won't affect someone who's been granted asylum. Severability not relevant to us. Effective date, so 12/01, June 9th, 2025. So it's not effective yet. If you have an appointment tomorrow, or you just went to your appointment, you're waiting to get your visa, your green card back, you might not be affected by it. It might come back before it actually goes into effect, and then you would still have a valid visa, in whatever category, if it is affected by this. Okay, not relevant. Yeah, so that's all. There are restrictions, but I would think that there are some exceptions, some important exceptions. There may be some more exceptions coming. We'll see. We'll keep you updated. Yeah. Thank you.